Today I'd like to introduce you to a hydraulic system on a truck, better known as a wetline kit. It consists of a PTO, a pump, combo valve, filtration, and a tank. Spec'd correctly and installed correctly on a high bottom trailer, the trailer will unload in 2.5 minutes. And if it's done correctly and spec'd correctly, you'll have less wear, longer life out of your truck and system both. The first thing I'd like to start with now is the PTO, better known as the power takeoff. It mounts to the bottom of the transmission. It's very important to have it spec'd right as well, because we like to run that around 110 to 120%, because the bulk of the hydraulic pumps are all designed to turn at 1,000 RPM. And what the PTO does is it matches into the bottom of the transmission, drives off of this gear. That gear runs free there all the time until you turn around and when you shift that switch in the dash of your truck to put the PTO in gear, this is what happens. Pressure comes in here, it pushes that gear sideways, it locks the gears together, and then the transmission is tied to the pump, and it turns the pump to drive it. Now here we have a 3,000 PSI gear-driven pump designed to give us maximum flow and pressure. As you can see, it mounts directly to the PTO. You can orient it any way you want. Your pressure side is here and suction side is here. Here we go. Now we've just went over the PTO. We've just gone over the pump. And now we're going to go to the combo valve. The combo valve is kind of the fuse in the system. If something is jammed or overloaded, the relief valve will kick and tell it there's something wrong. And plus, you'll be able to use this for other pieces of equipment in the yard, because it's got a 2,800 PSI relief valve on one side and a 2,000 PSI on the other, so you can run it on all your other pieces of equipment. As you can see, when we talked about the combo valve, the pressure line comes up here, it goes in here, goes to the gauge to give us pressure, and then it goes out to the top line to go to the back of the trailer to drive the motor. Now that we're at the back of the trailer, as we've seen, the flow comes back here at 2,800 PSI, 28 gallons a minute, flows into the valve body, and when you engage the trailer to go, that pushes the oil out here. That 50 horsepower is developed right now to go to the drive system, and the oil comes out and returns back. The big thing about our trailer is we can put it in reverse. So when we put the valve back this way, it reverses the flow of oil back through and reverses the belt to bring the load back in. Now that we're back into the front of the trailer again, this is where the oil exits the trailer, going back to return to the tank and the filtration system. To recap again, here we are at the transmission where we get the power from. Goes to the PTO, which runs at 120%. We go to the pump, which runs at 3,000 PSI at 27 gallons a minute to get our max. Then it goes to the combo valve, then to the trailer, through the trailer. On the return, oil is coming back, and we're going to do filtration here now. Filtration consists of 2 filters, which gives it a very high flow, so it doesn't restrict anything on the return side. From the filter, we go into the bottom of a 75-gallon aluminum tank into what we call a diffuser. The diffuser throws the oil all around the tank inside to dissipate heat through the aluminum. Then we just start the cycle all over again. We go into a 2-inch suction. The suction goes from here right directly up to the pump. I like to keep it within 6 feet to increase the flow of oil so you don't starve the pump. Hoses and fittings are very important. This pump is spec'd for a 2-inch suction, which gives it lots of flow. And on the return and the pressure side, coming from the trailer, we should use 1-inch hose. And when it comes to fittings, use a nice long sweeping 90, not the short ones. It just creates much better flow. The connection between the truck and the trailer is extremely important, because this is what transfers the power to the trailer from the pump. That connection there should be cleaned and make sure there's no dirt, because that would transfer right into the system. Put the connection on, make sure it's nice and square, and then you just go on, you tighten it up. And then there's an indicator right here. There's the indicator right there that should cover over. So that now you're starting, you'll feel the weight come onto the fitting, and that's when it's opening it up to allow the flow to go through. Make sure it's tight on both sides. The best way to understand the hydraulic system on your truck is to purchase a flow meter. Then you could see that it's producing 2,800 psi and a minimum of 28 gallons a minute. Trout River puts a hydraulic pressure gauge on every trailer. It helps the customer understand how the system works. When it's sitting there idling, it should be running between 500 and 600 psi. When you go to offload, it should spike to 2,800 and drop very quickly back to about 12 to 1,400. Now that we understand pressure and flow and we spec'd all the right components for this, now we'll go to some of the issues that we've seen over the years. The number one issue over the years that I've seen is not using the proper components. Usually trying to save money, or you just didn't know, or the hydraulic system was spec'd for another piece of equipment. No matter what happens, it all adds up to loss of pressure and flow. Number two issue that I see, hoses and fittings are not sized correctly. Always use that 2-inch on the suction side. Too many short 90s. Reducing the size of pressure and return lines, like this, going from 18 gallons to 34, reduces pressure and flow. The third problem we see is when oil is not returned to the bottom side of the tank, that we always get excessive heat. Of course, that wears out all the components in the hydraulic system, and then when that happens, then we reduce pressure and flow. The fourth issue that I've seen over the years is not keeping the system clean. Whenever you go to hook up your truck, you have dirty connections. Those dirty connections should be cleaned and tidied up, because that all introduces dirt to the system. Because then it would turn around and it will premature wear pumps. Other pieces and particles will go into relief valves, and it all reduces pressure and flow. On behalf of everybody here at Trout River Industries, I hope you enjoyed the video about pressure and flow. May you have more uptime and make more money.